Pickles are one of those foods that instantly spark a debate. Are you a dill person or a bread and butter fan? Do you prefer them sliced into crisp chips on a burger, or whole and straight out of the jar? No matter your preference, one thing's for sure: Americans can't get enough of that tangy crunch. From backyard barbecues to New York delis, pickles have become a cultural staple. They're more than just a sidekick to your sandwich, they're an essential part of the American food experience. And what's fascinating is how a simple cucumber can transform into one of the most beloved condiments and snacks in the country. Today we're taking a flavorful journey from the fields where cucumbers are grown to the massive factories that turn them into the jars lining grocery store shelves. Get ready, because by the end of this ride, you'll never look at a pickle the same way again. The story of pickles goes back thousands of years, long before they became a household favorite in the United States. Historical records suggest that cucumbers were first pickled in the Tigris Valley around 2400 BC. In ancient times, preserving food wasn't just about convenience, it was about survival. Pickling allowed people to store vegetables for months, making them a reliable food source when fresh produce was unavailable. In Egypt, Cleopatra was said to have sworn by pickles, claiming they contributed to her beauty, while Julius Caesar believed they gave his soldiers strength and stamina. That tangy little cucumber had already made a global impact long before America was even on the map. The very word pickle comes from the Dutch word pickle, meaning brine, and by the 17th century, pickles were common in Europe and eventually crossed the Atlantic to the New World. When immigrants poured into America, they brought their culinary traditions with them, and pickles quickly found their place in American kitchens. In New York City, Jewish immigrants popularized dill pickles in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and the Lower East Side became a hub of pickle culture. Vendors sold barrels of garlicky, crunchy pickles that locals devoured, and the dill pickle remains iconic in New York food culture to this day. Over time, the United States embraced a variety of pickle styles, from sweet bread and butter pickles to fiery, spicy versions. Each generation of Americans has found a new way to love them, making pickles one of the most versatile preserved foods on the planet. But how exactly does a cucumber make the leap from the farm to that familiar glass jar in your fridge? It all begins with the harvest. Farmers carefully choose varieties like Kirby cucumbers, prized for their firm texture and small size, which make them ideal for pickling. Timing is critical. If cucumbers are left to grow too large, they develop big seeds and a softer texture, which doesn't hold up as well in brine. Harvesting usually happens when they're just 1 to 5 inches long, often early in the morning when the cucumbers are still cool and crisp. Depending on the farm, the picking process might be done by hand or with machines designed to handle cucumbers delicately without bruising them. From there, speed is everything. The fresher the cucumber, the crunchier the pickle, so the crop is quickly transported to processing facilities. Once the cucumbers arrive at the factory, they go through a cleaning and sorting process. Automated washing systems blast them with water jets and scrub them with brushes to remove dirt and debris. Then, depending on the type of pickle being made, they're either left whole or sliced into spears, chips, or halves. High-speed cutting machines ensure every piece is uniform, which helps with consistent flavor and texture during the pickling process. Imagine conveyor belts carrying thousands of cucumbers every hour, all being prepped to become the crunchy snack we love. It's a perfect blend of efficiency and tradition. Now comes the magic: brining. This is where a cucumber truly transforms into a pickle. For fermented pickles, cucumbers are submerged in a saltwater brine where natural bacteria kick off the fermentation process. Over days or even weeks, the cucumbers absorb the flavors of the brine while developing their signature sourness. This old-world method is still beloved for producing that classic, complex dill flavor many people crave. On the other hand, quick pickles rely on vinegar, which speeds up the process and allows factories to produce massive quantities of pickles in less time. Herbs, garlic, spices, and sometimes sugar are added to create different flavor profiles, from sweet bread and butter pickles to hot and spicy versions. Each jar is like a little time capsule of flavor, preserving cucumbers at their peak. Throughout the factory, massive tanks hold thousands of gallons of brine, with cucumbers floating and soaking until they reach the perfect taste and texture. Workers monitor the tanks carefully, adjusting salt levels, acidity, and temperature to ensure every batch comes out just right. In modern factories, much of this process is automated, with sensors constantly feeding data back to ensure quality control. Once the cucumbers have been fully pickled, they're transferred to bottling lines, where glass jars or plastic containers are sterilized, filled, and sealed tight. Conveyor belts whisk them along as labels are applied and lids are secured, preparing them for distribution to grocery stores across the country. Pickles aren't just about taste, they're also tied to tradition and even celebration. Did you know that National Pickle Day is celebrated every November 14th in the United States? It's a day set aside to honor the crunchy snack that has been part of American diets for generations. First celebrated in 1949 by the Pickle Packers International Trade Group, the holiday highlights the role of pickles in everything from sandwiches and burgers to relishes and side dishes. It's a quirky but fitting tribute to a food that has been part of American kitchens for centuries. What's more, pickles have some surprising health benefits. Fermented pickles, in particular, contain probiotics that can aid digestion and support gut health. The vinegar in non-fermented pickles may help regulate blood sugar levels, while cucumbers themselves are low in calories and rich in antioxidants. Of course, like most things, moderation is key since pickles can be high in sodium, but that hasn't stopped Americans from enjoying them with gusto. And pickles aren't just eaten, they're celebrated in fun ways too. Across the country you'll find pickle festivals, pickle-flavored foods, and even pickle-themed sports drinks. In Pittsburgh, there's a famous annual Picklesburg Festival where pickle lovers gather to try everything from pickle ice cream to pickle beer. Even sports stadiums have embraced the trend, with pickle-flavored concessions popping up at baseball games. Clearly, the pickle's place in American culture goes far beyond the jar. Pickles are one of those foods that instantly bring back childhood memories for many Americans. Maybe it was the crunchy dill spear tucked inside a lunchbox sandwich, the sweet bread and butter slices on a juicy burger, or the giant pickle on a stick sold at state fairs. Whatever the memory, one thing is certain: pickles are deeply woven into American food culture. But have you ever wondered how those cucumbers in your jar transform into the tangy, crunchy, and flavorful pickles that line grocery store shelves? Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of pickle production, where science, tradition, and modern technology come together to create one of America's favorite snacks. From the moment fresh cucumbers arrive at the factory to the second the sealed jar reaches your hands, there's a whole process at work that ensures every bite has that satisfying crunch and bold flavor. The journey begins with cucumbers, the humble vegetable that will eventually take on a whole new identity. Only the freshest cucumbers are selected for commercial pickle making, and these are carefully cleaned and sorted before anything else can happen. Farmers often grow special varieties of cucumbers just for pickling. They're typically shorter, firmer, and have fewer seeds than slicing cucumbers, making them perfect for soaking up brine. Once harvested, cucumbers must be processed quickly to preserve freshness. In the factory, they are thoroughly washed to remove soil, stems, and any impurities. This cleaning stage is crucial because the cucumbers are about to embark on a fermentation journey that relies on natural processes, and any unwanted bacteria or residue could interfere with the quality of the pickles. After cleaning, the cucumbers are submerged in large fermentation tanks or traditional wooden barrels filled with a carefully prepared saltwater brine. The brine isn't just salty water, it's the lifeblood of pickle making. It sets the stage for lactic acid fermentation, a natural process where the sugars inside cucumbers are converted into lactic acid. This transformation is what gives pickles their iconic tangy and sour flavor. Depending on the recipe and the type of pickles being produced, cucumbers may stay in the brine anywhere from a few days to several weeks. Some pickles are lightly fermented for a fresher, crunchier bite, while others are allowed to sit longer to develop deeper sour notes. During this stage, the brine acts as both a preservative and a flavor enhancer, helping maintain the cucumber's crisp texture while infusing them with the flavors of garlic, dill, mustard seeds, or other spices added to the tank. When the cucumbers have reached just the right balance of sourness and crunch, they are ready to move to the next stage: jar filling and packing. At this point, the pickles can be left whole, sliced into spears, or cut into chips, depending on the product being made. Each jar starts with a sterilized glass container that moves down a conveyor belt in perfect rows. Factories take sterilization seriously, ensuring every jar is free of contaminants so the product inside remains safe for long-term storage. Workers or automated machines then place the cucumbers inside, arranging them in neat stacks. But it's not just cucumbers that go into the jars. This is where the flavor magic happens. Carefully measured amounts of spices like garlic cloves, dill sprigs, mustard seeds, and peppercorns are added. These aren't just for decoration. They create consistent flavor profiles across every batch, ensuring the jar you buy in New York tastes just as good as one bought in California. Once the cucumbers and spices are packed in, it's time for the pickling solution. This solution, usually a combination of vinegar, water, and salt, is heated before being poured into each jar. Heating the brine helps infuse the flavors more quickly and ensures that harmful microorganisms don't survive. The filling machines are designed to completely cover the cucumbers with the liquid, while leaving a small gap, known as headspace, at the top of each jar. That headspace is essential because it allows for proper sealing, preventing jars from cracking during pasteurization and storage. Next comes sealing and pasteurization, one of the most important steps in pickle production. Automated capping machines screw on metal lids at high speed, creating an airtight vacuum seal. This ensures the contents of the jar stay safe from outside contamination. Once sealed, the jars are heated in large water baths or steam chambers to a precise temperature for a specific amount of time. This process, known as pasteurization, guarantees that harmful bacteria are destroyed while preserving the crispness and flavor of the pickles. Without pasteurization, jars would spoil quickly or risk foodborne illnesses, but with it, pickles can safely sit on store shelves for months, sometimes even years, without losing quality. After pasteurization, the jars are rapidly cooled, often using cold water sprays or cooling tunnels. This sudden drop in temperature halts the cooking process, locking in the texture and bright green color of the pickles. Imagine biting into a soft, mushy pickle. No thanks. Rapid cooling helps prevent that, making sure every pickle maintains that satisfying crunch. Once cooled, the jars move down the line to labeling machines. Each label is applied with precision and includes details such as the brand, ingredients, nutrition facts, and best buy date. For many companies, labels are more than just information, they're part of the product's identity. Bright designs and nostalgic fonts are used to catch the eye of shoppers browsing the pickle aisle. The final stage is packaging and distribution. Labeled jars are carefully packed into sturdy boxes or crates using automated machines designed to handle them gently. After all, no one wants broken glass jars during shipping. These packages are then stacked onto pallets, shrink-wrapped for stability, and moved to warehouses or directly to retail distribution centers. From there, they make their way to grocery stores, restaurants, and even international markets where American pickles are in high demand. Yes, believe it or not, American-style dill pickles are exported around the world, proving just how universal their appeal really is. Pickles may feel like a simple food, but their cultural presence in the U.S. is anything but small. Fun fact: Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers and the nation's third president, was known for serving pickles at the White House. Jefferson had a deep love for gardening and agriculture, growing cucumbers at his Monticello estate and delighting his guests with his homemade pickled vegetables. His enthusiasm reflected the broader American spirit of experimentation and appreciation for diverse foods, something that still lives on today in the variety of pickles you can find across the country. Choosing the right pickles, however, can be a bit of an art. If you're standing in the supermarket aisle, you'll find countless options: dill, kosher, bread and butter, spicy and sweet. Dill pickles, loaded with garlic and herbs, are the most sour and tangy, making them perfect for sandwiches and burgers. Bread and butter pickles, on the other hand, are sweeter and often paired with barbecue or cheese boards. Spicy pickles have become increasingly popular in recent years, with chili peppers added to the brine for a fiery kick. When shopping, it's a good idea to read labels carefully. Avoid jars with artificial preservatives, high-fructose corn syrup, or unnecessary dyes, since these can affect both taste and quality. The best pickles are often made with simple ingredients: cucumbers, water, salt, vinegar, and natural spices. Always check that the pickling liquid is clear and free of cloudiness, which could be a sign of improper storage or spoilage. And of course, don't forget to check expiration dates to make sure you're getting the freshest jar possible. The next time you pop open a jar and hear that satisfying pop of the seal breaking, you'll know just how much science and craftsmanship went into bringing those pickles to your table. From careful cucumber selection to fermentation, from high-speed filling lines to pasteurization and labeling, every single jar represents a blend of tradition and modern technology. Pickles are more than just a condiment, they're a story of preservation, flavor, and culture that has been passed down through generations. So whether you enjoy them on a burger, straight from the jar, or as part of your grandma's potato salad recipe, remember that you're tasting history with every bite. Thank you for joining us on this flavorful journey through the world of pickles. If you love learning about how everyday foods are made, be sure to stick around because the fascinating world of food production never ends. Like, share, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes looks at the foods that fill your pantry and bring comfort to your table. From cucumbers to crunchy delights, the story of pickles proves that even the simplest foods can have the most fascinating journeys.